Both the United States and Israeli intelligence have now officially concluded that the Iran war will not, N-O-T, not lead to regime change, which is exactly what Charlie Kirk had predicted prior to his passing. Here he is less than a year ago.
If, this is a big if bombing Fordo can't permanently destroy the nuclear program, will advocates of a limited intervention pivot to immediately demanding a full regime change war? Because a lot of people are calling for regime change right now. Lindsey Graham, James Lankford, Tom Tillis. What does that even look like? Here's a big one, because you better believe the intel community has done this. They run these war games. One of the most important questions that we deserve an answer to: what are the refugee estimates of such regime change? 1 million? 5 million? It was 6 million in Syria. Who is most likely to take power next? If the Ayatollah is taken out, who's the front runner? Who's the Kelshi poly market odds-on favorite for being the successor to the Ayatollah? What do we know about him? Is he more moderate? Is he younger? Is he more religious? Is he more radical? It's Mojtaba Khamenei. Mojtaba Khamenei. Okay, fine. The son. Is he more moderate? Is he more radical? And if we take out that guy, who comes after him? What is the line of succession here?
I hadn't seen that video before, and my head just exploded, because I don't think anybody predicted that Ali Khamenei's son would end up being his successor, because the now assassinated supreme leader had said that he was against dynastic rule and was against the idea of one of his sons doing this. That's amazing, Cenk. Anyway, wow.
Yeah, so look, two things about that. Number one is there's reports that Israel purposely took out all of the 49 top leaders, not just because Ayatollah was in there and not just because most of the regime was in there. That was intentional and everyone acknowledges that. But also because there was 2 or 3 guys in the room that America was thinking of using to replace Khamenei, like we did with Maduro in Venezuela. But if you kill those guys, then they're gonna go with Khamenei's son, which is gonna extend the war until they get what they actually desire, which is regime change. And as you're gonna see in this story, we'll talk a little bit about how Netanyahu has now said that he's doing this so that Israel can be the sole regional superpower and maybe even a global superpower. That's what this war is about. And then I want to tell you about the different layers of regime change that they want and need before they let America off the hook. But until then, as you're gonna see, we're gonna pay a super heavy price, including financially.
Yeah, and look, before we even get to that Netanyahu video where he again says what's supposed to be the quiet part out loud, which is what the Israelis do on a regular basis, I just want to understand for my detractors, is Netanyahu anti-Semitic? Because when I merely point out what the Israelis say they're gonna do, because they say they're gonna do it, I get called anti-Semite. It's amazing. But anyway, let's move on with what's going on in Iran. So an anonymous source spoke to Reuters and said the following: a multitude of intelligence reports provide consistent analysis that the regime is not in danger of collapse and retains control of the Iranian public. Because look, I mean, just think about this in your own terms, my fellow Americans watching this right now. Even if you loathe our government, which I do, I loathe our government, okay? Would I be okay with a foreign power coming in and attempting to topple our government and replace it with a puppet government? No, I would not be okay with that. And what that does is it galvanizes the population around the regime. But the Israelis are morons, so they, love these unforced errors. Further, the US intelligence report indicates that the IRGC and the interim leaders who assumed power after Khamenei's death retained control of the country. There are no protests, there's no civil unrest. In fact, we've seen a massive crowd that gathered in order to celebrate the naming of Mojtaba Khamenei as the new supreme leader. Now, President Donald Trump has, of course, been incredibly inconsistent, flip-flopping on whether or not regime change is the real objective and goal for the United States. But that's not the case with the Israeli government, who absolutely demands the toppling of the Iranian regime. And whether the regime gets replaced with a democratic system or a good leader, they don't care. They're perfectly happy to see the country fall to anarchy, ruin, instability. They'd love to see another Syria or Libya, because it'll help them with what their main goal is, which is expanding their territory. Now, an anonymous Israeli official spoke to Reuters and said this: Israeli officials in closed discussions also have acknowledged there is no certainty the war will lead to the clerical government's collapse. But here's the catch: Israel has no intention of allowing any remnants of the former government to stay intact, said a fourth source familiar with the matter. It would likely require a ground offensive that would allow people inside Iran to safely protest in the streets, said a source. So in other words, the US, as we know, and we've known from the very beginning, we don't really have a clear objective. And it's become increasingly clear to me that Trump realizes that he got trapped and fooled into a trap and now wants to end the war but doesn't know how. We also know that Israel's objective is impossible without ground troops. And I was on Al Arabia yesterday, Cenk. There was an IDF commander or something like that on the show. And the host asked a good question, which was, you're not gonna get regime change unless you have boots on the ground. So would you like to see American boots on the ground? She's not asking me, she's asking the Israeli. I was like, oh, good question. And she skirted the question like crazy because yes, of course they do. Of course they want Americans to risk their lives in Iran to try to topple that regime on behalf of Israel.
What's the latest trend in hiring? Skills-based hiring, which actually emphasizes capabilities over education and direct experience. According to experts, this leads to faster hiring and better job performance. Well, if you're an employer who's adopted skills-based hiring, the best way to ensure that your applicants have the right skills is ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter recommends smart screening questions to help you hone in on that perfect match for your role. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. ZipRecruiter has powerful matching technology to help discover qualified candidates quickly. They also make it easy for you to add their screening questions to your job posts so you get the highest quality applicants. That's what makes ZipRecruiter the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Let ZipRecruiter help you find amazing candidates with the skills you seek. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. That's ziprecruiter.com/TYT. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
And according to Tom Ellsworth, who is from the PBD podcast, he sees this as a devastating quagmire. That's what we're running toward. Take a look.
Talk about quagmire, and maybe this is pessimistic, but I think we're there. I think we're at the front door of quagmire. And now we got to figure out a way to get out, and there's no good way to get out. And if you back out, think about it. I never thought I'd be saying this, but if he backs out, this could be like a failed retreat from extraction from Afghanistan. This could be like Carter backing out. This is the one country. Cheney said it's all about Iran. It's not Iraq. It's going to be about Iran. Even Cheney said that when he was getting the president to look for weapons of mass destructions that were not there in Iraq. Everybody has looked at Iran and said, this is the guy. It's like for 20 years, this is Muhammad Ali, and everybody wanted to get to him. And it wasn't until age got to Ali that he ever lost. And so this is just drives me a little nuts. I think we're at maybe this is pessimistic, Pat, but I think we're at the front door of quagmire.
Donald Trump needs to pull American troops out of that region. He needs to end this, or at least the US involvement in it. And Netanyahu says that he's gonna keep the war going. That's great, handle it on your own. Handle that, and Lebanon, and Gaza, and all the other neighbors that you're terrorizing. Handle all that on your own. We're done. That would be the winning strategy at this point for Donald Trump. But something tells me that they won't let him pursue that strategy. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, it's only one thing that you said that I disagree with. You said the Israelis are morons. No way, they're not at all morons. They think America are suckers. So
we are.
Yeah,
we are. I agree with you on that. But they are morons. Do you think anything they've done is going to keep Israelis safe?
No, but that's not
Israelis
their
are going
objective.
into shelters, underground shelters, multiple times a day. You guys enjoying that? You think you're more safe? Have you defeated Hamas?
No, but Anna,
how many more extremists have been reproduced by the Israeli regime? They're never going to be safe.
No, but that's for regular Jewish folks, Israelis, etc. The Israeli government doesn't care about keeping Israelis safe at all. They care about land acquisition in Greater Israel. So do they know they're endangering Israelis by starting another giant war? Of course they know. Do they know that about October 7th? They literally told us, yeah, we knew about October 7th, and they didn't take any precautions. Did they know that all of these wars could endanger Israel and there would be rockets fired? Of course they knew. They did it on purpose. And then, by the way, the more they scare not just Israeli citizens, but Jews across the world, the better it is for them, because then American Jews, European Jews, instead of sending more money. Oh my God, and Larry Ellison sends $16 million to the IDF as a charity. And he's not the only one, tons of people do it. Oh my God, kill more Palestinians, kill more Lebanese, kill more Iranians. Here's more money. Why? Because, oh my God, I'm so scared, they're gonna kill us all. No, the Israeli government does all of that to scare those people so that they get more money, more power, they could do more war and take more land. So now that brings us to Iran. So there are layers of regime destruction and collapse that Israel has planned. But you can't do even the first layer without ground troops. Because Iran, the Revolutionary Guard, guys, has a giant infrastructure throughout the entire country, like we do with our military and our police. Imagine trying to take out our entire military and all of our police when you invade America, as an example, right? You know how difficult that would be? That would be extraordinarily difficult in any country, right? So you think Iran doesn't have an infrastructure of military and police? Of course they do. And will they resist? Of course they're gonna resist, and they are resisting. So now we have to go through that entire, at a bare minimum, 1 million Iran Revolutionary Guard, let alone the entire military, let alone all the cops, let alone the citizens who are gonna be radicalized when their family members are killed by Israel and unfortunately America. So Israel knows all of this. That's why they need to reel you in little bit by little bit. Oh, we're doing it because nukes, oh, they're gonna kill you with the weapons of mass destruction. The same exact horse crap that they fed the American people through the collaborators in the American media about the Iraq war. Oh, look, Israel's such a great ally. We give you intelligence all the time. Oh, really? What's the intelligence? Is it to attack America? No, it's fake intelligence telling you that these guys have weapons of mass destruction.
Girls' school, that an elementary school is a military target that the United States should bomb? Is that the kind of intelligence Israel supplies the United States? These are questions that should be asked. Okay, the US is now culpable, responsible for slaughtering 175 people at a girls' elementary school in Manab, Iraq. Where did we get the bad intel from?
Yeah, look, where do we get all of our bad intel from? Israel. And when you ask them, hey, you're a special ally, you've now robbed me of over $300 billion. You've made me pay $8 trillion on the global war on Israel's neighbors. You now have forced us into another war, which you're about to find out is costing us $2 billion a day. A day. We borrow from China. We have to pay interest to China for the rest of our lives because precious Israel can't pay for its own wars. Slaughterhouse after slaughterhouse. Wait till you get to later in the show when we show you the new slaughterhouse they've opened up in Lebanon. And all those disgusting crimes against humanity lumped on America's shoulders. You have to pay for it. Israel's not gonna send any ground troops to fight against 1 million Iranians? No, Americans back to the meat grinder, back to the Middle East. You use your troops, not precious Israeli troops. No, Israelis are worth 1 million other people, right? So one more thing, Anna, you read there, the Israelis' plan is to kill what, about 1 million Iranian Revolutionary Guard until there are no more remnants of the regime.
I need them to understand something.
How many people are going to kill and how much is it going to cost to kill all the remnants of the regime until Israel is satisfied with their bloodlust? And now they've done another genocide in Iran. Then they say, okay, maybe we'll let America off the hook. And they won't, as they've announced, Turkey's next.
So let me understand something. All of these Arab countries and Muslim majority countries that are on their knees, their leadership is on their knees to Israel and the United States. Did that pay off for you? Hey, you Gulf countries who thought, we'll be safe as long as we play nice with Israel. Did that work out for you? Did abandoning the Palestinian people for a genocidal state work out well for you?
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.